Who could be next to commit to Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs? That's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. As you all already know, as Dawg Post members already know, Georgia's had 9 commitments in the last 2 months in the 2024 class alone. And I'm not sure that the June fireworks are over yet. It's already been just a massive 5-star month for the Dogs on the recruiting trail, between official visitors throughout the month to commitment after commitment. And I think there are multiple Georgia Bulldog targets, top targets actually, who will be making their decision soon. I wrote, I guess, yesterday over on Dawg Post about the offensive line recruiting, what's going on there. There are multiple offensive line targets who are coming off the board soon. But let's start with Carter Nelson, who's going to be making his official visit, his commitment tomorrow on Wednesday. And I believe that this is going to come down to Georgia and Nebraska. At the end of the day, I think Nebraska is going to land, the best prospect in Nebraska. Georgia made this really interesting. He took his official visit to Georgia earlier this month, and it's a big deal. I mean, 6'5", 215, hybrid tight end. Loves Coach Hartley and what the Georgia staff has to offer. I wrote a story about him earlier this month, but dude can catch the ball, run the ball, pass the ball, play defense. This guy can do everything on the football field, jumps 7 feet in the air. Big deal. But I think at the end of the day, he wants to stay home. There's some pressure there to play for Nebraska and try to, get that program going again to its winning way. So Carter Nelson, I think, will be the next Georgia target to make his commitment, but I think Nebraska is going to be the team to beat there. Now, an offensive lineman to keep an eye on, Michael Uini, 4-star offensive tackle out of Texas, longtime Michigan lean, I've been told. Thought he was close to committing to Michigan earlier this month. He took an official visit to Georgia this past weekend, and I've been told Georgia is a real threat to Michigan. He's deciding on the 30th between Georgia, Alabama, and Michigan. Did Georgia do enough to land his commitment and win him and his family over this past weekend? That's what we're going to find out. Yesterday I spoke with sources who still think that, his relationship with the Michigan staff, longtime relationship with those guys, could be the determining factor. But I hear other sources, around the Georgia program who feel really good about where things went, how they went on his official visit. And there's a lot of optimism around, Georgia and, where they think they sit in his recruitment right now. Would not surprise me one bit if Georgia were to land this massive, I think 6'6", 330-pound offensive tackle out of Texas. I think I got that height and weight right. I thought I had it written down. I don't, but this is a big deal, big guy, and I think Georgia would welcome him with open arms, obviously, and we'll see where things go on the 30th, but I'm starting to like Georgia's chances more and more here. Nyer Daniels, another massive offensive tackle prospect. I think Georgia has taken the lead in his recruitment since he was in town for his official visit that weekend of June 16th up in New Jersey. This guy is massive. He's 6'7", 370 plus pounds. Big deal. Just a mauler in the run game. He's committing on July 4th, and I like where Georgia sits with him. So if they don't land Carter Nelson, if they don't land Michael Uini, Nyer Daniels next week, I believe next Tuesday, could be Georgia's next commitment. Wouldn't surprise me at all. The day after that, Daniel Calhoun, massive 4-star offensive lineman again out of Walton. I've been covering him for like 3 years now. Georgia offered him years ago. Matt Luke was Georgia's offensive line coach. He offered him when he was at Centennial. He's now at Walton, and he's like 6'6", 340 pounds. I think he's going to play on the interior. But I think Stacy Searles is going to give him a look at tackle as well. Last time I spoke with him was at a Walton practice. Stacy Searles was there. I think he feels pretty good about where he sits with Daniel Calhoun. But he did take his official visit to Georgia early in June. It was that first weekend of June. He's taken visits to Alabama, then Auburn, then Tennessee. I think this is going to be a Georgia-Alabama battle. For most of his recruitment, I thought Georgia was the team to beat. Hearing a little bit more Alabama right now, but Georgia could absolutely land this kid on July 5th. I don't think a final decision has been made. I think he's going to sit down with him and his family over these next several days, make sure he knows where he's going. Tennessee, I still think is in the mix. I don't see him at Auburn. At the end of the day, I think this is going to come down to Georgia, Alabama. Right now, this could go either way. I'm going to stick with my Georgia prediction just because I've been saying that for most of his recruitment. But Alabama would not surprise me at all. I think people in Tuscaloosa feel really good about where they sit with Daniel Calhoun, but he's going to be taking or making his commitment July 5th, so stay tuned to that. Now, a defender to know, Joseph Jonah Ajanye, 4-star defensive lineman. One of the top, defensive line prospects in the country. I think he's a borderline top 50 prospect in the country. 6'4", 270. Has just been playing football since his freshman year in high school. Took his official visit to Georgia this past weekend. Thought he might make a verbal commitment to Georgia this past weekend. He didn't. Still uncommitted. He's going to be making his commitment July 12th now. That was his original commitment date. Again, thought he might commit to Georgia this weekend. He didn't, but I still think Georgia probably leads Oklahoma right now for him. So this is a decision coming July 12th. Really like where Georgia sits. And if he had to make a decision today, I think Georgia would be the pick. Versatile, could play on the edge, could slide inside. There's a lot to like about his game. Sky high potential. Again, he's just been playing football for a few years now. So I think he's got a really high ceiling, and he's only going to get better. So big time prospect, 4-star defensive lineman out of Texas. And right now, I like where Georgia sits over Oklahoma. Now, another probably Georgia-Oklahoma battle, Williams Nwaneri, #1 defensive player in the country. I think this is a consensus. On 3, the industry rankings have him as the #3 prospect in the country, #1 defensive lineman. This guy is elite, 6'6", 260, great motor, a guy who can really run, attack the quarterback, an elite pass rusher, can stop the run too. You can move him all over the place on the defensive line. He is an elite prospect. Cut his Missouri official visit short. We were told over the weekend, hey, watch for this kid taking a trip to Athens. I think he got to Athens on Sunday. It was might have been Saturday night and then into Sunday, but he made sure to give Georgia one last unofficial visit before the dead period ended. That rang a bell to me. That says this guy loves Georgia, wanted to see him one more time before I think he's going to make a decision in July. So big deal. He was in Athens for an official visit that first weekend of June and said, you know what? I've got one last chance to go to Athens again, speak with the staff before the dead period ends. I'm going to go do that. That says a lot where Georgia sits with him. I think Georgia is absolutely the team trending. He's a Missouri native. I think he wants to get out of the state of Missouri. Don't blame him whatsoever for wanting to leave the state. And I think Oklahoma is another team that he really likes. I think Tennessee is kind of faded, as well as the Missouri Tigers. I think this is a Georgia-Oklahoma battle. And if I had to make a decision right now, I would pick Georgia for this elite top 5, top 3 prospect in the country. Big deal. Don't know when he's going to make a decision, though. I tried reaching out. I don't think he has a set decision. He could commit anytime. I do think it's going to be a July decision. I don't think he's going to take this into his high school football senior season. So this could be later this week, could be in a couple weeks. I don't know, but I do think this is a July commitment, and I think Georgia sits in a really good spot. Chris Jones, a versatile linebacker, 6'3", 230, took a recent official visit to Georgia out of Fairfax High School in Virginia, #10 linebacker, number 124 overall prospect in the country. He likes Georgia a lot. He's called Glenn Schumann a football Einstein. He loves what the staff is doing over there. I think Georgia is trending in the right direction for him. But he told me late July, early August commitment timetable. So I don't think he's going to be making a decision in the next 10 days, 14 days, or anything like that. So do think he's going to make a commitment probably in July. Looks like it's going to be later in July. But if he had to make a decision today, I think Georgia would be the landing place. 5-star KJ Bolden. I know we had a cryptic tweet earlier this week about a decision coming soon. He told me it's going to be first week of August. So I don't think it's going to be happening in the next 10 days, 14 days. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I'm going to Europe. So I tried to reach out to these guys, but hey, is something coming down the pipe, right? Do I need to get a commitment story ready, get some quotes, make a video, yada, yada, yada. And he said, don't worry about it right now. First week of August, I'm going to be making a commitment. So one of the few guys, top Georgia targets that will not be making a decision in July. As far as what he told me, now he could change, things up a little bit, make a decision a little sooner. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Alabama got the last visit. I think they made a big impression. They always do well with those Buford kids. So I don't think, I have been saying Georgia for a while, but if Georgia leads, I don't think they lead by very much. I mean, this really could go Georgia, Alabama, or Ohio State. If I had to make a decision, I would stick with Georgia, but I think Alabama did impress him, and I know Ohio State has always been a team he's been high on, so definitely a guy to keep an eye on. But first week in August, first week in August is what he told me. 5-star, top 10 player in the country, number 2 player in Georgia now that Dylan Raiola is at Buford. So just a few names to know. Chris Cole, another 4-star from Virginia, took his official visit June 16th. He told me late August, early fall. So he's another inside linebacker to keep an eye on. So just a few notes before I go on vacation. If you guys to keep an eye on who are committing in the next few days, next week or so, and later in July. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. It's been fun kind of covering Georgia recruiting for you this past several weeks. It's been a lot, but the dogs stay hot on the recruiting show, so you got to keep up with it, right? Thanks for watching this video as always. Stay tuned to the next one coming up right now. I'll see you over on Dawg Post.